Extremely toxic best friend story time. So when I was in 8th grade, there was this boy. And this boy would go around telling almost every girl that he liked her. And I was one of those girls. And he would do stuff with all of us. And there were like 11 of us. So we all hated each other. Especially this one girl, and we're gonna call her Abby. And every time we saw each other, we would be super mean to each other. Well, a year passed, we stopped talking to this kid. And I bumped into her at homecoming and basically apologized. So after that, we became best friends. And everything was good until every time I told her about a guy, she would start talking to them. Like this one boy that I was Snapchatting and talking to, she accidentally sent nudes to him and said, "Oh, sorry, I meant to send them to my boyfriend." So then she called one of my other best friends and said, "No, it actually wasn't an accident." And of course he told me because he was my best friend. So I was like, whatever, and stopped talking to the boy. And she did it again, like for part 2. Extremely toxic best friend part 2. So pretty much her excuse for that was, oh, well, he said that he was gonna leak my nudes if I didn't send him them again. Which was a lie because literally half the school already had her nudes. So then I started talking to this other boy. And he lived like right down the street from her. So she was like, if you want to go to his house, you can. And I was like, are you sure? And she said, yeah, just go tell my mom. And I was like, oh, okay. So I went and told her mom where I was going and went over his house. So I walked back to her house and she literally locked me out. Like her mom had to come open the door for me to let me in. And she was like, oh, it's a good thing you came back when you did. Because I was going to drive you home now and tell your dad everything that you did. And she goes, I don't think you guys should be together because you're unexperienced. And she would always tell me how he flirts with her all the time. So after our friendship ended, she goes, I just felt like it was always a competition between me and you.
My daughter, Savannah, is the CEO of faking illness to get out of school. So when she does not feel like being there, she will go to the nurse's office and complain to them that she is really not feeling good so that they call me and I have to go get her. Well, one day after this happens, I walk into the administrative office and everybody is really concerned because Savannah is sitting in a chair like so dramatically like, hi, Mom. And like when I saw her, I burst out laughing. I was like, oh my God, are you okay? And everybody looked at me like I was some really bad mom. Like, oh my God, why aren't you more concerned? But as we were walking out, she was walking really slow and actually didn't look good. So even I was a little concerned. I was like, oh my God, honey, are you okay? Until we got to the car when Savannah looks at me and goes, you know what, Mom? I feel better now. And I was like, Savannah, are you serious? And she's like, Mom, do you maybe want to go to Starbucks and have like a girls' day? And I was like, honey, what kind of question is that? You know I do.
In high school, I had a friend who lived in this old, small apartment building. And on the first floor was this old guy named Dave who had apparently lived in the building forever. And no one really knew what Dave's deal was. The only time people saw him is when he walked outside to walk his tiny dog. But other than that, he never left his apartment. He had a nephew who delivered him groceries once a week. My friend just assumed that Dave was too old or had some sort of sickness that prevented him from leaving the house. One day, my friend was coming home from school and Dave's nephew was leaving the apartment building. And my friend is really sweet, so she was like, hey, I know Dave sometimes has troubles getting out of the house, so if you ever need me to go over there and bring him something, let me know. I'm always happy to help. And the nephew looked really shocked and terrified. He was like, no. You should never go over to Dave's ever. And then he got really awkward and he was like, okay, gotta go, bye. And then a few weeks later, my friend was coming home from a Halloween party late at night. And when she got inside her apartment building, Dave's door on the first floor was wide open. And it was pitch black inside his apartment. But then she heard something behind her. So my friend hears something behind her, but it's pitch black. She's like, hello? And then she finds the switch to the hallway lights, turns them on, and Dave is standing right there with his small dog. She's like, hey Dave, you kind of scared me. And Dave was like, oh, sorry, I was looking for the light switch myself. But that didn't make any sense because he wasn't standing anywhere close to the switch and he had been living in that apartment building for 30 years. So she starts walking up the stairs and then Dave says, I've been working on a project that I'm really excited to show you. And my friend's like, oh, like an art project? And Dave's like, yeah, kinda. And she's like, okay, well, maybe my mom and I can come by another time to see it. And then they say goodnight, but she just feels pretty weird about the whole interaction. A few months later, she's at school and she gets a text from her mom that she has to work late and won't be home to make dinner. That afternoon, my friend walks home, walks up the stairs to her apartment building, goes to unlock the door, but then realizes the door's already unlocked. Sometimes her mom would forget to lock the door, so it wasn't totally out of the ordinary, but it was winter and it was already getting dark outside even though it was only 4 p.m., so she turns on all the lights to her apartment. But then, all of a sudden, all the lights switch off. off. She tries to switch all the lights back on, but they're not working anymore. And all of a sudden, she's finding it really hard to breathe. She's afraid she might faint, so she kneels down onto the floor. Then suddenly she feels sharp nails running down her back. And she tries to move, but she feels so weak that she can't. She turns around to see who it is, but before she can, she blacks out. The next thing she remembers is waking up in a hospital bed, and her mom is sitting next to her looking really worried. Her mom's like, everything's okay, there was a carbon monoxide leak in the apartment, and you passed out. The nurse is like, in the next few weeks you may feel tired or sluggish or have hallucinations. Don't worry, that's totally normal. And my friend is like, what about the back scratches? Her mom's like, what are you talking about? So she runs to the bathroom, pulls up her hospital gown, and there are 4 dark scratches on her back. When she comes back from the bathroom, her mom looks concerned, and she goes, honey, there's also something else you should know. Dave, who lived on the first floor, passed away, and they've been cleaning out his apartment, and they found something. And it might freak you out, but I feel like you should know about it. Mom tells her that they found a weird box of things in his closet, and inside that box were random pictures of her, an old hairbrush, pieces of hair, a pair of shoes that she thought she had lost. And the nurses think that the scratches are from when she fainted, but she's sure she felt someone scratching her back, and she's sure that it was the ghost of Dave.
One time when I was in 8th grade, I got a hickey on my neck because I had daddy issues, and my teacher noticed and sent me to the principal's office, and the principal was like, I'm calling your mom. And I was like, I burned my neck with a curling iron on accident. And she was like, no, you didn't. So on the bus ride home, luckily my best friend and I shared the same bus stop, and I asked her if I could go to her house really quick to burn my neck with her curling iron, and she said yes. So when I walked into the house, my mom was literally ready to beat my ass, and I was like, Mom, look, it's just a curling iron burn. And she was like, wait, yeah, that's clearly just a curling iron burn. And she got so mad, and she called the principal, and she demanded that she apologize to me. And the principal had to apologize to me, and to this day, my mom still doesn't know.
So this is a story time about my insane boss. So as a lot of you guys know, for 4 years, I worked as a Disney princess. It wasn't in Disney World or anything, it was a place locally, but it was still one of the most fun jobs I've ever had. Our boss, however, was her own kind of person. She was continuously going through cycles of being on and off with different boyfriends, and we could always tell if they were together or not by the way she treated us. Like, anytime there was a fight, she would always take it out on us. There was one time where we were just setting up in the back, and she walked back yelling, saying to stop gossiping about her. Literally none of us were even talking. She also had a massive issue with hoarding, so like all of the back rooms were filled with junk. She started to get a lot of calls from tax collectors, and she would always make one of us answer the phone. Eventually, they started to stop by, and she would just go hide. A couple weeks after this, I came in for work, and the entire place had been robbed. Things stolen, glass everywhere. And she told me my social security had been taken. However, I knew something was off. Like and share, and I'll do a part 2.
Ooh. Faster. So when I got into work that day and I just walked in and saw the glass everywhere, I just turned to her and I was like, what happened? Like, she wasn't explaining it to anyone. She was just sitting there at the desk acting like it was a normal day. And she was like, well, we were robbed and they took a lot of stuff. However, we made the observation that everything that was stolen was something that was broken. Almost as if the robber knew that that printer, that MP3 player, and that computer wasn't working. We also all made the observation that the glass was outside of the building. So it was like someone broke the glass from inside. The police were up there asking questions, and she was talking to them about how my social security was stolen along with a few of the other girls. But I guess it wasn't an issue since we were under 18. I don't know. But our theory was that she was probably cashing a check from that whole robbery thing, and that it was probably covered by insurance. Either way, she did not have the money to stay in business, so we had new management come in like real soon. I would also like to add that one of the things being hoarded at this place were Webkins. There's hundreds, as far as the eye can see. I have so many more stories coming, so don't be shy. Follow me.
So this is probably my favorite story about my cheating ex. As many stories as I have on him, this one happened after we were broken up. He had left me for a girl that he was seeing on the side, and we hadn't spoken in months. We had both blocked each other on pretty much everything. But as most girls do, I do have my fake Instagram account, and he seemed pretty happy in his new relationship. I believed that until I got a DM from a girl. She sent me screenshots of messages and fake accounts that he had made to communicate to her. So he had literally been cheating on the girl that he was with now with her the whole time. I literally don't understand people sometimes. Both him and I were in the same friend group, mostly because we pretty much grew up together. So I talked to another member of the group about what we should do. Now, I believe in karma and that people get what they deserve, but who's to say that I'm not karma? So we decided to show up to his house with not only the girl he was cheating with, but all the girls he cheated on me with. And take care of this, I kid you not, game show style. Follow, share, interact, and I'll do a part 2.
The thing that shocks me the most about Min is the audacity. I don't know what the comments are going to be yet, but I want to clarify: 1, that him and I were best friends for a long time before dating, so that's why we had the same friend group. 2, kind of bold to show up at someone's house, kind of also bold to cheat on someone, but we were neighbors. So we went in, microphone in hand, and announced each girl one by one. He was speechless. Like, he didn't even know what to say. If you've ever just seen someone like entangled in so many lies that he thinks that he's never gonna get caught for, all of a sudden get caught for all of them, that was it. When his friend went in, he was like, hey, do you have something you want to share with me? Like, what's been going on in your relationship? He admitted to nothing. So that's why we announced girl number 1, girl number 2, girl number 3, until we were all there and he had no choice but to tell us the truth. So yeah, don't be a scumbag, don't cheat. And if you do, karma will happen eventually, even if it's years down the line.
So 2nd grade through 4th grade, one had a really toxic friend. Let's call her Anna. Anna was really controlling and abusive. I would always tell her my secrets and she would start rumors. She also abused my friends, like pinched us for fun or slapped us for no reason. One day she walked up to me and slapped me and walked away, but I didn't tell no one. Okay, part 2. So Anna slapped me and walked away. I started crying, so my brother came to comfort me and Anna's friend yelled at her. A couple weeks later, is forgotten about. She walks up to me and calls me a spoiled brat. Again forgotten about. Now it's the point where we ended 3rd grade. By now I was scared of her. I didn't even consider her as a friend. She had abused me, spread rumors, took my food, etc. So I told my future 4th grade teacher for her not to be in the class, and then Anna moved away. The end.